That doesn't happen very often.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday, May the 5th, 2021. Notice has been given of a regular meeting of Commissioners Court of Grimes County, Texas. It is held on this date, Wednesday, May the 5th, at this time, 9 a.m. And our location is Grimes County Annex Building, 114 West Buffington Avenue in Anderson, Texas. I would ask at this time if you would please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the pledges to the U.S. and to the Texas flag. I don't see any of our clergy. Would you pray with me? Father, we thank you, dear God, for this day, for the blessings of this life. We thank you, Father, for all that we have. We're grateful for the opportunity to live in a great nation, the best state in that nation, and probably the best county in that state. Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to serve one another. We ask that you give us guidance in the decisions that we make, and always as the decisions that we make are in the best interests of the citizens of this county. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your Son. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Would you be seated, please? We will now move to consent agenda items on our agenda. That would be agenda items number 3 through...
About public comments.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't have any public comments. Commissioners, any public comments?
I have two.
Okay, sir.
I want to thank everyone for coming out Saturday to the fundraiser for Grimes County Animal Rescue. We had a good crowd out there. We don't have the totals yet, but we will get those out ASAP. Tomorrow is Food Pantry Day here in Anderson. We'll be passing out food from the food pantry.
Is that done at the Baptist Church?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the time slot for that?
8 to 12, I think.
Judge, I'd
Yes,
like to say, I had an experience this weekend, and I called Commissioner Dobianski, and I want to thank him for taking care of it. And I caution the public on 105 West or East, outside of Navasota, where they're bringing in 249, to please be careful. It's very confusing. The signage is, particularly at night, and I witnessed somebody going the wrong way. So I just want you to be cautious of that area where the construction is.
Thank you. And you're exactly right. It is kind of a hazardous area, and they have reduced speed, but most drivers don't seem to pay attention to that.
It's not the speed, it's the direction.
Right, no, you're right.
And I did talk to Hunter Lerman Monday morning, and he looked into that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And since y'all mentioned roadways, there is supposed to be a route change at 1774 and 105 today, although that's about the 15th notice that they've said, next Tuesday, next Thursday, but it's supposed to happen today, so we'll see when we go home. Appreciate the comments. Any other comments? With that, we will go to consent agenda items number 3 through 7. Number 3, road and bridge consideration and possible approval of an electric line installation permit for Blue Jay Solar on CR 161 in Precinct 1, attachment number 3. Agenda item 4, road and bridge consideration and possible approval of a water line crossing permit for Wixon Creek SUD on County Road 161 in Precinct 1. That'll be attachment number 4. Agenda item number 5, consider and take action to approve the treasurer's list of claims and bills. 6, consider and take action to approve payroll. 7, consider and take action to approve budget amendments and or line item transfers. And I see before us there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, I guess, of those. Commissioners, are there any questions on any of those consent agenda items or comments?
Just 1 second, Judge, I thought I had one. I was gonna ask, if you don't mind,
I don't mind.
Greg, Mr. Cannon? In your budget, it says Brazos 2020 Vision Internet. Is that a new internet company?
No, that's just what they, on the invoice, what BB Cogs puts for their payment identity.
Okay, so that's BV Cog. All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on consent agenda items 3 through 7? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve consent agenda items 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on consent agenda items number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Again, are there any comments or questions?
I'd like to make a quick comment, Judge. My name is Greg Kennon. I'm the Director of IT. Commissioner Walker asked about the BB Cog internet invoice. What brought this probably up to her attention is that when we switched from Sunlink to BB Cog back in, I think it was February, they forgot to put us on their billing cycle for the JP3 office, so they were 3 invoices behind when I brought it to their attention, so that's probably why you saw that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's a motion before the court. If there are no other comments or questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda items passed. We will now go to agenda item number 8. Grimes County Sheriff's Department Chief Todd Green. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
Agenda item number 8, consider and take action to approve the second amendment to the interlocal agreement adding Burleson County to BVWAX, BVWACS, BVWAX radio system, and authorize the county judge as signatory or attachment number 8. Chief?
Yes, good morning. This is for our BVWAC radio operating system. We have in the Brazos Valley area that we're a member of. Recently, we added Madison County on, and Burleson County had a petition to come on, and it's been approved now. We just need to get all the appropriate signatures. So Burleson County could come off the radio system also. What we have is the second amendment to the interlocal agreement for the managing entities by BVCOG for Brazos Valley Wide Area Communication System, and the second amendment to the second reinstatement of the interlocal agreement for the construction, acquisition, implementation, operation, and maintenance of the Brazos Valley Wide Area Communication System. Both these were submitted to the county attorney's office in January for review. When we were getting the rough draft, I didn't receive anything back from y'all. So
I don't have any concerns. We've done this before.
Yeah.
It may reduce the county's costs.
It does.
yeah, obviously, as add more units on the system, price lowers.
Right.
But that's all I have.
Okay. And the comment that the county attorney made, by adding Burleson County, that does add more units, and that does bring the overall cost of that 700, 800 system down per radio.
And as they start coming onto the system, just kind of like we did.
Right.
Over time, more radios will get added on.
Judge, if there's no questions, I'd make a motion to approve the second amendment to the interlocal agreement adding Burleson County to the BVWAX radio system and authorize county judge as signatory.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 8 by Commissioner Cox, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief. Agenda item number 9, Grimes County Building Maintenance Manager Al Peeler. Update on ongoing projects, Grimes County Jail and Grimes County Justice Center. Good morning, Mr. Peeler.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. You got your packet. We'll start off with the Sheriff's Department. No change with the Sheriff's Department. We're still waiting on CDC to do whatever they're going to do with jail standards.
So we still haven't gotten mold remediation completed in there yet?
No. We'll go on to the Justice Center. Justice Center, we're at 122 days on your inclement weather log. We're on 122 days. We'll move to previous 2 week look ahead. Paving and dirt work still is trying to get started going. Every time we get going, it rains. So that means we have to cancel the pours because of the rain. So that's where that stands. We'll continue to do that throughout this process. Tape and flow, miscellaneous drywall, 98% clean, done. We're cleaning up joints that when we do our drop-in ceiling, that's what we're doing. That's why it's 2% less than 100. Priming the walls in the building, we're about 25%. The face of we should be done in about 2 weeks with face brick, and then we'll start detailing it out. They're making good headway on that. We're still waiting on our coils. That is a projected date of May 21st, and it's they were calling for June 4th to be the startup for AC.
Is the contractor bird dogging that delivery date on the coils?
You can bird dog all you want because you're dealing with a national company, and they'll just tell you, yep.
By golly, we're a county government.
Yep, that's right. Amen to that.
Well,
And that and a nickel judge will get you nothing with a private corporation.
well, they're down in Waller County, aren't they?
No, they're in Japan.
Oh, Japan.
Yeah, you remember the tour when we walked in there and it looked like Japan's Total Recall?
Yeah.
That's because they're from Japan. You know, it was Raising Dojo, remember that?
I remember.
Okay.
So the coils are coming from Japan?
Yeah.
They ought to put them on a high-speed train and get them there.
Well, when they
probably
get
are.
that to go over water, I'm sure it might be that way. Moving right along. We will get we're starting to install our interior door frames now. We had some keen issues. We had the way it was designed and the way it was thought out kind of conflicted a little bit, and we said, well, after the King meeting, we got it all. So they ordered the door frames and locks to the appropriate way that it needs to be done. But that's about it on the 2 week look ahead. PMPs, really no change from the last time I talked, except for I approved landscape and irrigation. It come in without the islands. We're still kind of trying to feel our way around on the islands. There was a few things there. Landscape and irrigation, I just approved $37,000 for that. That's not an additional cost to us. It's out of the landscaping budget. Right. But because there's some type of savings, they still have to put it through like that. We did that's without the islands in the parking lot. First, they wanted trees planted in the islands, and I was like, no, we're not putting islands with the 12-inch line substrate at the bottom and turning the roots right back up to the concrete. That ain't happening. So then we went to Bull Rock and Liner, and I was like, no, I can see somebody tripping and falling. I can see somebody coming out of court mad and breaking the plate glass windows up. No. So then we thought about crushed granite, and that's still, after time, it breaks down. It doesn't really look good. Then we went to pavers, and that come back way higher than I was willing to spend our citizens' money. So what we're looking into now is an integral dyeing of the concrete to put in there, or exposed aggregate, where we pour the cement and then brush off the top and it has a rock look to it. That's kind of what I'm checking with that. That's why the islands were left out of the landscaping, this change or modification. Temporary irrigation, number 26. They wanted $15,700 for a 90-day temporary irrigation system on the hydro mulch, and I said,
Who's they?
the subcontractor. So I was like, no, we got other ways we can water that. So that's the PMP on that. That's really the only changes since the last report. You got the completion schedule. As of right now, we're holding to this, with, depending on what the weather does. You know, it looks still the way it is, the last completion report. Okay?
Can you tell me, Al, what's the difference between the access road utility offset and the access road that are still pending? One's accepted, one said not accepted, and one said yes, 4921.
On, what are you looking at, PMPs?
Yes, number 22R 22.
Okay, let me get to that. Oh, so what do you, 22, where are you at?
22R2.
Access road, that's the,
That's the road going.
that's the road that you approved.
Is this off of 90?
That's off 90, yes, ma'am.
We approved the couple.
Sorry, my fault. That number, that's your three, so the AXRA, so 22R1, is that the one you're asking about? That says not accepted?
No, 22R2.
Shouldn't that be
R2.
335 or 334?
It's lower than the 389.
Yeah, it's lower than that. I will check on that for you.
That's
Okay, thank you.
334.
Yeah, I will check on that. Because I think that's a typo.
Thank you.
But I will check on
It
that.
duplicated the R1.
Huh?
It duplicated the R1.
R1, that's why I think it's, I will check on that and report to you, and get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Good catch, I didn't catch that. If there's no other questions, August 7th at 11 o'clock will be the Mason ceremony of putting up their marker, I guess, if that's what how you call it.
Do you have a time?
August 7th
No, a
at
time.
11
Oh,
o'clock.
did you say that? Sorry.
I got you, Judge, don't worry.
That's a Saturday, isn't
That
it?
is a Saturday, yes, sir.
So
Ma'am?
I asked you a question about the substantially completion of the road. So are we moving along on this access road, or have we started? I mean, where are we? I didn't hear you talk about that, and I think that's, pertinent to some of the discussion, because that is an outside contract, and it's based upon the road being substantially completed. So,
Right, it's on your data,
okay.
on
Where?
your, this sheet right here.
That's a new sheet you gave us
You got
with
it
the
last
tiny
one,
writing.
too. Yes, so they have started, the drawings are done, they have the drawings. They also have, supplied TxDOT for the permitting process. So they have tore down the building, they're starting to get their means, and they're gonna start on it, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we talked about a timeline that'll be completed prior to move-in, or what is your date? It's so small I can't read it out.
Substantially complete is gonna be August 16th, I
Okay.
believe. It's so small I can't read it.
Substantially complete for which,
Both. So it's the 16th, and then you'll have a substantially complete on the road within the next couple of days. 17th, 18th, somewhere in there.
I think the contract says the road is supposed to be done before the building.
I didn't make the contract.
I understand.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
I can
but
tell
you're
you
a
what's-
project manager, Al, right? You're the
I
project
didn't sign the
manager.
contract.
That
That's saying-
doesn't matter. We approve the contract,
Okay,
but we want to keep our eyes on the ball, okay? And that substantial completion is a major item for us to keep our eyes on. So I know you didn't make the contract, but would you please update us on that? Because that's very pertinent.
it's right there.
Yeah, but he asked you a question. You said you didn't make the contract.
No, he asked me a question. You said, okay, what do you want me to update you on?
Just where we are. He asked you a question
We're up.
about will it be approved, I mean, would the completion be ahead of the building?
No,
Okay. Okay.
I can't control the schedule of how it flows. We had 6 months of the commissioner's court trying to figure out what we were gonna do with the road.
We're aware
So-
of
Well, okay, but you put me on the spot now,
that.
like.
No, that's
when-
because you're project manager, so I'm asking you as project manager a question. He asked you as a question. That's all we're trying to find out.
It's 3 days after the substantial completion.
Okay. Of the building.
If the road's not completed per the contract, what happens?
You don't look in.
If the road isn't completed before the contract, what happens?
Well, unless we get a modification, contract says the property is reversed.
And that was my main focus on making sure that we stay up to par on that.
So the road is not scheduled to be completed before the building, per the contract it's supposed to. Right?
I don't know what the contract says. I thought it was at the same time the building was complete. This is the first time I'm hearing before the building.
Well, we can talk about it after the meeting, and let's just get a better understanding, you know, because
I'm
we don't
not
want you to
gonna
be
here.
in a,
I'm out of here. Let's talk about it now.
no, because I'll get with the county
I think the
attorney.
contract says, and I don't have it in front of me, but at or before the completion of the building, so that would be okay, but the timing on the same date seems a little risky to leave it for a dispute of somebody to say, hey, this minute the clock went down and this thing wasn't done and this thing was. And that's the only issue. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
All right, thank you.
And I've talked to the landowner, Jim Westmoreland, and his comment to me was, I'm interested in getting the road done, I'm not interested in getting the land back. So I know there's some dissension on this court of those that want to do this and those that don't want to do this, but the road, to my understanding, will be complete in compliance with the contract.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong, I've always been told, with getting an understanding. So I am trying to get an understanding for everybody to understand that this road has to be complete by this particular time.
Well,
Whether or not some of us agreed or not, we are bound by a contract, not a verbal contract, but one that is in writing. So I'll meet with you and get an understanding and
Judge, did you talk to Mr. Westmoreland about the proposed amendment?
Not since you sent me the amendment, he was not available.
That would be the solution. If in fact his statement is accurate about what he's more concerned about, then signing an amendment to give us a specific date in the future by which to get the road done that Al can tell us for certain it will be done, and build in some weather days, seems to me the way to resolve this issue.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Peeler?
Oh, I said thank,
You should put Eddie
I was thanking him.
all right.
And it wasn't to put you on the
Any other
spot.
questions?
I was trying to get an answer. I'm sorry. Feel that
Thank you
way.
very much.
That was the thank you I was looking for.
All right. We will now go to
You know the answer.
agenda item number 10, Mr. Cannon, Grimes County IT Director, item 10, or agenda item 10. Consider and take action to approve the migration from Hill Country Software to LGS for JP1, JP2, JP3 offices, and authorize the county judge's signatory. See attachment number 10. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This item is, let me give you a little background about Hill Country LGS, just so the citizens can be up to date. LGS purchased Hill Country a little over a year ago, and in the process, they're migrating all of their customers from Hill Country to LGS. There's a significant amount of customers they have to migrate. It's not an immediate process. We have to migrate all of our data, train users on the new software, et cetera. As it stands right now, if this is approved, we will be put on their transition list, which they said would probably be spring or summer of 2022. So unless we choose a completely different package for the county, it's my recommendation and suggestion that you continue to pursue that process of finding a common application for the county. But in the interim, this will migrate the JP offices to LGS software, which the rest of the county right now, for the most part, is on LGS. And there is no other upgrade path to go from Hill Country to another package they have. You either have to go to LGS or you have to go to a completely different company.
Don't you have a software committee that's reviewing that option?
Yeah, and that software committee is going to resume here shortly. I had 2 health incidences last year that put the committee on hold, but I plan to send out a meeting announcement to reactivate the software committee to continue looking at software packages that might, as a whole, serve the county.
This migration till next spring, is that in your opinion a viable option for us? Is that, I mean, do you think it's okay for us to get in line and wait?
Yeah, I mean, right now they're going to support Hill Country till we migrate, so we can stay with Hill Country. That's less expensive right now. But at some point, we've either got to decide we've got to switch to LGS, like the rest of the county, or we've got to continue the process with the software committee and select a package that would fit all the departments, or most of the departments. So in my opinion, it's pertinent for us to go ahead and get on this list. If for whatever reason we choose not to go with a common package for the county and we choose to stay with LGS, for the JP3's offices, their software costs will go up. LGS is more expensive than Hill Country.
Is it just that office? Is that what you said?
Just those 3 offices, the JP courts.
And they're all in agreement with the change.
Yeah, they're still very interested in looking at a common package that would serve the whole county, but they're not opposed to going to LGS because the rest of the county is on LGS. I guess what I'm asking today, if we give consent to proceed, I would have to put these budget numbers in for next year's budget because our transition would happen probably summer of 2022. We want to make sure that we have that additional money. My estimate is it's going to cost us about $18,000 more per year to go with LGS versus Hill Country.
But we don't have a choice but to leave Hill Country behind because they're going out of business.
They're
So-
decommissioning that software package.
So LGS right now is our best option price-wise, but there are other options that your committee is going to look at.
Right.
I see the district attorney standing in the doorway, and she's mentioned, I think Odyssey is a software package.
Well, that is one that I know that Greg has been looking at.
No.
But it is one that's used in other counties.
They're currently looking, and you'll see in the next agenda item, we're looking to get approval to move into eProsecutor because the software they're currently on, Justware, is going away as of June of this year.
So Hill Country's going away, Justware's going away.
The only good thing I think that, based on the numbers that Greg gave me, is that the E-Series is actually less expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's something surprising, but
Right. For the software package that the attorney's office, district attorney's office is looking at is actually going to be about $10,000 less than what they pay currently for.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail us. Let's stay on
Okay.
number 10 here. So where's 18,000 coming in?
Once we switch, if we switch from Hill Country to LGS, the software cost for LGS is about $18,000 more per year for those three offices.
Is that $1,505 a month, right? Is what it says?
Well, that's just for,
The 1505 is a monthly fee.
Right, per month. Is that for all? That's just to be for all three, JP?
it's the 2503. It's the 2395 would be the total cost.
That's including county clerk, right?
Yes.
All right, so effectively 2,400 times.
We're just talking, we already have county clerk.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it's the 1505, you're right.
Okay.
The 890's already, she's already on LGS.
Right.
All right. So by adding the 3 JP offices, you're gonna have to add $18,000 to your 2022 budget, and it's your decision, your advisement, we ought to go ahead and do it, whether we spend it or not, so we can get on the transition list.
Right.
Okay.
And the hope would be, or the thought would be, let's go ahead and get the money in the budget for 2022. If for some reason we decide there's a package that fits everybody before summer of 2022, then we would forego this cost because we wouldn't be choosing LGS, we'd be choosing whoever.
Whoever.
Okay. Obviously, whoever. But I just want to make sure I've got the money in the budget if we have to go that route.
So 1505 times 12 is $18,060.
Right.
That's what he had said.
Okay, but that's not more, that's not in addition, you're
Correct.
just adding that.
Right now, we pay about $27,740. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we pay $10,350. So it's about $8,000 more per year, starting in 2022.
Now, does LGS charge any type of fee for being put on the list?
No. I mean, there is a one-time fee to help transition us, but there's no.
I mean, just be put on, they don't charge a service fee for waiting or anything?
On agenda item number 10, I'll make a motion to take action to approve the migration from Hill Country Software to LGS for JP 1, 2, and 3, and authorize the county judge as signatory with the understanding this is a $8,000 increase from where we're at, or an $8,000 increase for the 2022 budget that we may or may not spend.
And we anticipated on them doing a, oh my gosh, we anticipated on them moving to LGS halfway through this year.
Yeah.
So that was already budgeted for. We budgeted half for Hill Country and then half for LGS. So it should-
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 10 by County Judge Joe Faust, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item number 11, consider and take action to approve IT to help move the district attorney's office from Justware to e-prosecutor. That would be our attachment number 11. You said it was cheaper, let's do it. You're in agreement? Let's hit while it's
It's a
hot.
substantial upgrade in its capability, the e-prosecutor.
Does it meet all your needs from what you can tell?
It does. And the thing about that company focuses on court systems. So that's what they're specifically tailored to. So judge's office, clerk's offices, and DA's offices, and probation, but probation is a state agency, so.
But at the end of the day, it still doesn't satisfy us getting everybody on one system, so, because one of the big complaints that I've heard again and again is we've got to re-enter the data that's submitted, so I don't know, I mean, between the sheriff's office doing whatever and then send it to your office and y'all file charges, then it gets to the court.
So what I have talked with them about e-prosecutor is with this new platform, they are capable of writing software to connect. In particular, I think that the connection with Navasota PD would be easy because they have a very up-to-date, widely used system that they probably have written a pathway to exchange information before. I'm not sure what the sheriff's office is on. I think that's, so I'm not sure if they've done that, but I did ask about that. So there is that capability if we get to that point.
So the judges that you provide data to, the courts that you provide, will they find this functional for them?
So we don't provide, no information from our office goes electronically to anybody.
Okay.
Other than, they have a very good online discovery process that allows us to very cheaply and easily upload discovery to defense attorneys. With the new facility as well, there's going to be a cost savings perhaps in postage for us, because with the new bandwidth, we will now be able to upload pictures and video. We've always had that capability within our software, but we've never had the bandwidth.
Gotcha.
So I don't know how much we spend, but every CD and DVD that goes to a defense attorney goes certified mail, return receipt requested, so that we can prove that they have received it. So.
But now we'll be able to do that electronically?
When we get over to the new building with the bandwidth, yes, Your Honor, we will.
Cool.
I'd like to ask you, did you have any concerns about any of the data that's being retained or stored in terms of, should this,
So
we
we
don't
are
meet our
at a
deadline?
cloud storage, and all of our data is stored on the cloud with them already. And we will continue to be stored in that fashion.
Okay.
And that is what's called Amazon Web Services government regulated cloud storage. It's just not storage in the cloud, it's regulated by Amazon, the government web services.
Okay. And did the county attorney, did you have a chance to look at the document?
Yes, ma'am. Just skimmed it because I didn't know if it was subject to approval today. There's just a couple of things that I would point out to you. It has a 1-year term and can be terminated by either party on 60 days' notice. The thing that matters to you most are the two things are probably Exhibit A and Exhibit B with the fees. If I had the chance to attempt to negotiate it, there are at least two provisions I'd like to change. The governing law is the state of California, and dispute resolution is required to be arbitration. I'd like to see if we get those changed.
But this is case management software that's gonna fulfill your needs
Absolutely.
legally and
Yes.
day-to-day operations in your office.
It's very efficient. And the defense attorneys really like the Discovery platform. It's very easy for them. They immediately, as soon as the Discovery's uploaded, they immediately get an email letting them know that it's ready. One of the important things it does is documents every single document that's sent to them, or every single item, so that we then follow that with the court, so there's no accusations that we have not provided them everything in our files, so it's very efficient.
And I sat on 2 presentations with Andrea, and I saw a lot of light bulb moments of things that they demonstrated there in the product that really excited the DA's office. I also see this as not just Ware 2.0, it's a complete rewrite of the software, so I feel it's much better than the predicament that we got into with just Ware.
Okay.
And you wouldn't have any problem with discussing those contract modifications as proposed by the county?
I figured that that's sort of John's role, so.
Okay.
That we would not have any problems with that discussion.
If you have a contact, just email me the contact.
I will.
Thank you.
What if they weren't changeable?
Not end of the world, but when we agree that we will make this subject to the laws of another state,
Right.
you're looking at, if there's a dispute, you're gonna have to hire a lawyer that's out in that state to contest the issue. And if you're agreeing to arbitration, I've not done one arbitration in my life. I don't know a lot of people that do. I don't know any arbitrators. So,
I've done 3, but I'm not in the market.
I'd be happy to be mediation and then litigation, but arbitration is in my mind, it's a setup for a coup that is the arbitrator's world, and
Sure.
I would prefer that we do something differently if we can.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we approve agenda item number 11 with the understanding we're going to let our county attorney try to negotiate getting arbitration in, and if it goes to a court, it goes to a Texas court, with the understanding that if those changes can't be made, it's not a deal breaker.
You said getting arbitration in. I'm trying to get arbitration out.
I'm sorry, get arbitration out of it.
It's all right. Just
But
making
get it
sure
to
we're
our
on the same
state.
page. You bet.
All right.
And who would be the signature? Who would do the signatory signing on this? Because it didn't have the contacts on any, on our end.
And let the county judge be signatory.
I second the motion.
Did you get that addition, Vanessa?
Yes, I did.
All right. There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 11 by County Judge Joe Fowl, seconded by Commissioner David Dobianski, with the adjustments made. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. How soon will that switch over go?
They said it would go, they could migrate the data pretty quick, but it has to be
June?
done by
They migrate within 1 day, 24 hours.
That's awesome.
Yes, I was very impressed with that.
Okay.
So we have very little downtime.
So, do you have the contract, or,
I have a copy of the contract.
okay, make sure that John C. has that so he can do his magic. Thank
Have
you.
your people give it my people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 12, consider and take action to move county cell phones from Verizon to AT&T FirstNet with the stipulation that the cost will be less or remain the same. And the only reason you want to make this change is because you don't like the hold music they put you on when you're on hold, right?
That's one of the reasons. No, this is something we've gone back and forth with Verizon, AT&T, and the sheriff's office. We, after speaking with Todd, after working with Verizon and AT&T, we feel strongly that we're going to remain with AT&T. They have made concessions and have shown progress in those concessions as far as putting new batteries at the towers, generators at the towers, and they've moved those schedules up. So the deficiencies that Todd had in his department of not having coverage when we have power outages it looks like AT&T is very actively trying to address those issues, and those schedules, timelines have been moved up 6 months to a year as far as the progression on those tasks. We, from an IT standpoint, since we basically purchase, configure, install, manage, and maintain the cell phones, we're very frustrated with Verizon, and Road and Bridge will tell you the same thing. They're very frustrated with the service there. Lucy was about to kill somebody yesterday, I think. It's just, we feel that it would be to our benefit to move to a common provider. We have one neck to wring, as long as they give us, as stated in this action, that they give us at least the same price or less. And it appears right now that it's probably going to be less. The reason I can't tell you exact numbers today is because when we first attempted this changeover, they were providing certain concessions. Well, those have expired. We're going to get them to reactivate those, such as credits per phone line for every line that we switch over. The indication is the first year we'll have substantial savings. Years 2 and 3 and following, that the price will be at a minimum exactly what we pay with Verizon and potentially even less. But until I can get with AT&T and get in hard numbers on paper what they're actually willing to provide us as far as cost and services, I won't know. But preliminary stuff in the preliminary discussions we've had with Todd and AT&T, that it looks like that's going to be the case, that they're going to provide us those concessions again, those discounts on phone lines and phones, and that will probably be less than Verizon.
Well, the money's a very important issue, but let's just say you flipped the switch and you went from Verizon to AT&T. You're Verizon today, you're AT&T tomorrow. Is your coverage going to be the same tomorrow as it is today? Or is it going to be somewhat less until these 6 to 12-month improvements are made?
The coverage will be the same. They're adding more 5G. Todd, do you have any comments from AT&T on the coverage part?
Yeah, the coverage should be the same. Even when we first started with FirstNet over a year ago, we actually ran coverage tests.
Yes, sir.
With both systems.
I remember that.
In the same vehicle, and the coverage, they were pretty sound. I think they covered, I think it was 96% of the county, 97%. Somewhere of that nature. They were both within, a tenth of each other. So coverage-wise, will be fine. They've actually moved, even since I talked to Greg last, they moved the Anderson Tower up on the generator. Once they, I guess, had the uppers, the company realized it was a government law enforcement agency, so that even jumped us up priority, even higher. So, within the next few months, I think they're looking at trying to get the fixed in, as long as they get all their paperwork with the tower company and stuff done. They told me they're bringing actually a generator out, a temporary one, and going to have it wired in until the fixed in is. They're putting a fixed in this year in one of the towers in Minnesota, and they're doing upgrades on all the towers here in Anderson, in Grimes County. So, fairly happy that they are recognizing and bringing us up to speed.
We do know we have a few officers that when they're off duty, just like with anybody, you have dead areas in your neighborhood, dead areas in your county, and some of these officers that currently on Verizon are kind of apprehensive. We're not talking about a lot, we're talking less than a handful, because if they're off duty and they're at their house, and now they're on AT&T, the coverage is not as good there as it was with Verizon. We know we've got those issues, but I think as a whole, Todd and I are in agreement that it makes sense for us to go ahead and stay with AT&T, hold them accountable to the upgrades they say they're making, and hold them accountable to the pricing models.
And also the pricing of Verizon on one side, we looked into breaking everything down apples to apples. It was actually higher with Verizon, and it was going to be a substantial amount per year. Also played the fact to keep pushing with AT&T and order some concessions. And I think they're also going to give us credits, just for the stuff we gotta go through, astronauts.
So, Greg, are you talking about doing this county-wide or just with the sheriff's department?
Countywide. We, like, the Road and Bridge Department has, I think, 43 phones on Verizon, and Miss Bobby has constant frustration with their accounting department, or getting lines switched to a new employee or set up. And the idea is to they'll give us new phones at no cost. They'll give us credits for those lines, for those new phones. And then we'd be on, if you've ever had to work with communications bills, they're a nightmare to deal with. I've been working with Heather and Cindy the last few days, just working on the cell phone portion. And you can call Verizon and say, I need to know what this number is, and they'll say, we don't even show it on your account. And you call Verizon back, and they're like, oh yeah, that's, we call our rep that handles our account. He said, no, that's not a MiFi device. I said, it's gotta be a MiFi device. So I call Verizon back, and she says, no, yes sir, it's a MiFi device. It was activated on this date, and it has this plan with it. You just get so many crazy things with Verizon, in my opinion. They're probably listening, but that's all right.
Okay. They need to hear.
They'll do better.
So our goal is to switch to one provider that we can manage that bill, everything under one bill. Everything's categorized, itemized by department, by user. We can see any changes. We've also engaged the same company that helped us save almost $50,000 on our phone lines. They're going to help us with these cell phones. They've got a service that they are tied directly into AT&T's database from the backside, and they can adjust lines, plans, minutes, anything instantly to save us money. And it's nothing we have to do on our side. They just look at the traffic patterns and they say, you've got these 10 phones, that if we took them off individual lines and put them on a shared plan, you would save this much, and they do all that automatically for you month to month. The estimates are that we think we'll save about $20,000 the first year.
So is there any penalty or any contracts that we're gonna have to buy out before we move?
The indication's not, because they're under the DIR contract and we've met the time frame for those lines that we currently have.
And what about money from, all of the money for cell phones has been budgeted by individual department based on whatever they needed. How would we get all of that? Maybe the auditor can explain if the court chooses to do this. How would we get all that money funneled back into your department, I guess, is one question. And secondly, I'm not real sure how many departments are on AT&T and how many are on Verizon. What if you get to a department and they don't elect to change their phone?
Yeah, primarily the sheriff's department's on AT&T, the rest of the county's on Verizon. We have a handful in there that are not. But for the most part, the sheriff's office is on AT&T and the rest of the county's on Verizon. To answer your question about those phones that were budgeted that we may not need, because let's say maintenance says we need 2 phones, that's $1,000, let's say. Well, if we put them on AT&T, AT&T's going to give us those phones for free and give us credits for those lines, so that money that they budgeted could just be taken out of the budget and say it's no longer needed. Did that answer your question?
I'm talking about the money that's budgeted. Like, I have a cell phone, the county provides a cell phone, and it's in my budget. If the goal is to get the cell phones all under your umbrella, how would we move that money in mid-budget year?
So it all sounds great to have everyone under one provider. I think that's a great idea. But we should maybe think about having this as a fiscal year 22 a budgetary item, when that would give the court opportunity to discuss moving, if it's in the best interest of the county, to move all cell phones under IT instead of individual budgets. So unless there's a sense of urgency to make this change mid-year, could this possibly wait for a fiscal year 2022, which we're fixing to start those workshop meetings?
And for the sake of transparency, maybe I'm able to see what my phone bill is for my department, and if it goes under all one umbrella, I don't know if it creates that or a nightmare for you.
it actually makes it easier for us, because if I've got one bill, and I know, working with the auditors, that, and the contracts say we should be paying, you know, $3,000 a month, and I get that bill, all of a sudden it's $3,300 a month, I can start to investigate as to why. But if I've got 6 or 7 different bills, and they kind of fluctuate a little bit anyway because of data usage, it makes it hard for me to hit that moving target. When every bill that comes in is different each month, I don't know, is that a legitimate upcharge? I've got to spend a lot of time looking at each bill to figure out which line on that bill increased and why. Where if they're all on one bill, it makes it easier for me. If the total comes in, it's within $25 to $50 or what it was last month, there's a pretty good assumption that it's probably accurate. Now, if it's several $100s more, then I stop and take a look at it. But on the bill, the key thing too for the auditors is that even though it's one big bill, it still needs to be itemized, or at least now would need to be itemized to our department so they can see what expenses were going to those departments. Now, if the court decides that, hey, we're just going to move the entire budget under IT, then that would, I guess, would be one less headache for the auditors. They just look for the one line item under the IT's budget. I'm not sure.
Well, ultimately, if Greg is going to be over all cell phones, the purchasing of it, the bills, the invoicing, then the Commissioner's Court can, I think you had put it in your request to have all cell phones moved under your budget. Is that correct, Greg? You wanted to move every cell phone under your budget. So I didn't know if there was this sense of urgency to do that mid-year, to make this change mid-year, especially since it's been allocated to each department and ultimately they're over their budget. And if we could wait until fiscal year 2022.
I think so. There's no urgency to move right now. Not anything pressing, so I'm fine with that. So if we want to postpone this or move this action to the 2021.
I don't know, if Verizon's listening, you might get a 40% discount.
Can I make a comment?
No.
Is this something we could talk more about in budget hearings, since you're suggesting making it a 2022 budget item change?
I mean, I would prefer that, and that would be my opinion.
Do you have a feel how much by staying the way we currently are, how much more it would cost us between now and October 1? I know that's a grab it out of the air question, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be much. I figure it's going to be about the same. My whole goal of switching phones is not necessarily to save money. We plan and we hope to be able to do that, but the concessions are going to give us to want our business. My main thing is knowing how many cell phones got, who they're allocated to, how much they're being used. Could we consolidate plans into shared minutes plans? Those kind of things is my biggest concern. I think the cost-wise between now and then is going to be about the same as it's always been. There's going to be a lot of additional cost to the budget this year by us not switching now. There would be no huge cost savings other than the allocation of equipment.
Well, I'm more interested in saving money than being easy on the auditor, but I know the auditor's got enough going on that if it's not that big of a financial deal between now and October 1, then we can work it through our budget. But I don't know that we need to delay action on this. We ought to, I'm kind of the opinion, let's go ahead and approve this, move that direction, and as we go through our budget talks, we're not looking at individual departments, we're looking at your department being the umbrella for all of that.
What do you mean delay? We're not, it's just if you're allocating money to each individual department, then they're over that budget, correct? Provided that they don't fall. Have you checked with every department to ensure that they're okay with that switch from Verizon to AT&T? Okay.
And I'd like to say, he switched me out as I needed a phone. So he has been switching, if we run into a complication and you're going with a new plan, he switched me from Verizon to AT&T, you know, but I was aware of it.
Yeah. On those one-offs like that, as a person breaks their phone or we get a new hire, we tell them, we ask them, hey, we're gonna put you on AT&T. We haven't had any pushback. The only person that had any concern was Blake Jarvis, and that was because he said, I was on AT&T before in my house, the service is terrible. The only thing we found that works there is Verizon, and him and his wife have personal Verizon phones. That's the only information we've gotten back from users. But we haven't publicly put it out to all the departments to say, are you opposed or in favor of us switching?
And either way, it's not making it easier on our office. We're still having to go through and check, and we're running the numbers currently, working with the treasurer's office and running the numbers for each department in preparation for this move for fiscal year 2022.
Well, it sounds to me like it, I'm not opposed to it, but there's still a lot of uncertainty and unanswered questions that are hanging out there that possibly could be answered later if it's of no urgency. And it's not gonna save any money, and you haven't discussed with each individual department their needs or desires. I don't know what the urgency is to take action today.
Well, one thing, if we're gonna do this in the budget for next year, he needs to prepare that for his budget proposal for next year, if he's gonna take all of them under his IT department.
He has prepared those numbers.
And the only concern I think I'm hearing is you have elected officials that have money now in their budget that they've elected, you haven't discussed it with them, and then to suddenly remove it from their budget, that could cause some havoc. Just like you say, Blake Jarvis he's not aware, Constable Jarvis is not aware that you're gonna make that change, and maybe he wants to discuss it with Greg, and this gives Greg some time to go to each one that has Verizon, hear the issue of why they have this issue with Verizon, and maybe can work out more concessions with AT&T, or get feedback from wherever he needs to by that time. I would hope that we would table it and let him talk to the various departments that currently have Verizon.
There's a comment to table, agenda item number 12, zero consensus. Table will go to agenda item 13, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Grimes County Auditor Jesse Murphy, Grimes County Attorney John C. Foltz. 13, consider and take action on the amendment to contract between Grimes County, Texas and the Brazos Valley Dispute Resolution Center, and authorize the county judge's signatory. See attachment number 13. Mr. Foltz.
Judge and Commissioners, you will you recall that we discovered that there were funds being charged, fees being charged for mediation, a mediation system, I think. I don't remember what the word was, but those fees are being charged of litigants, and we did not have a mediation system in place, and so the court realized that we could use the Dispute Resolution Center in Brazos County to utilize those funds, and you previously agreed to send them $1,000 a month. The auditor, when reviewing or getting ready for, I think, next year's budget, realized that we had not updated our contract, and it expired October 1 of 20. So what you have in front of you is an amendment to run a term from October 1 of 20, September 31 of 21. So when we get to end of September, we'll need to do another amendment, unless, of course, you want to get out of that system and go a different way. But I don't know of one that's closer. It seems to be working well, and as you all will recall, one of the terms that you required of the contract with the Dispute Resolution Center is that we would have a member on their board. I continue to be on their board, and we continue to have meetings, and they continue to make progress. While I have the mic for just a second, if anybody needs mediation services, the Dispute Resolution Center is, their fee is based upon income, so it's a sliding scale. Typically, each side pays, I want to say, less than $100. We've handed out flyers to JP courts, and also, I think, to the other courts in the county. But if there are litigants or other folks that need mediation services, part of the fees that are being charged, both, I think, in civil cases and criminal cases, as I recall, are going to the Dispute Resolution Center in Brazos County. So we ought to utilize those services if possible. And my hope is they'll ramp up their marketing in Grimes County such that our citizens will be able to get the benefit of it. But that continues to be where you spend the money that's being taken, and this is an amendment to simply update the contract.
And were these dedicated funds, they could only be used for?
Correct, and when we crossed the bridge, we said we've got a fund of X tens of thousands of dollars that have been collected, and we've never had mediation services or a system, and so we needed to spend that money. We still have those monies, but I would have thought the court would have said, we're going to stop taking that fee. I don't think we stopped taking that fee. I think the fee's still being taken, as I recall. So you need to find some place to put the money, and the DRC is the closest one I know. I understand there may be a DRC in Montgomery County, and if somebody wanted to explore that or ask me to help, I'd be happy to.
But that money's only, it can only be spent at that facility.
Yes, sir.
There's no further discussion. I move that we amend the contract between Grimes County, Texas and Brazos Valley Dispute Resolution Center and authorize the county judge as signatory.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 13 by Commissioner Dobianski, seconded by Commissioner Mallett. Is there further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 14, County Auditor Jesse Murphy. Consider and approve the Grimes County Records Management Policy, attachment number 14. Ms. Murphy.
To my knowledge, the last policy that was approved by Commissioners Court was back in 1999. I know other departments have records management policies for their offices specifically. I am requesting that Commissioners Court approve the records management policy that they have attached in the agenda. And it's basically having the auditor serve as the records management policy officer. And then we will submit, ensure that the SLR 504 form is filed with the Texas State Library and Commissions, or Archives Commissions. And that we are following, basically that we are in compliance with the record scheduling requirements of the Local Government Records Act.
I had a concern submitted to me by the county clerk. Do you still have that same concern?
No, I've talked to Jesse.
And you're good?
I'm good with it, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's easy. Why doesn't that work more often? That being the case, is there a motion on agenda item number 14?
I make the motion that we approve the Grimes County Records Management Policy.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 14 by Commissioner Walker, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 15, Grimes County Auditor Jesse Murphy and Grimes County Judge Joe Faust. Discuss and review parameters of the American Rescue Act. I'm going to make the request that we table that because we still, if the auditor's okay.
I would like to schedule a budget workshop just so we can have an open discussion on eligible expenses and the guidance that we've received so far and how we're going to proceed.
Right. And I don't think we have enough information at this moment to have that workshop, but as soon as the auditor or myself, or if one of the commissioners has input that you think we've got enough guidance and find out where the strings are attached and the red tape is, then we'll get that scheduled. However, I would ask the county treasurer to be on notice that if the ARA does go through, then Grimes County should be expecting about $2.8 million direct deposit into our account. And when that money hits the bank, I'd like to know that, because they say they're not gonna miss that target, so we'll see what happens.
And
Well-
the banks have been notified.
Yeah, I know about the bank too.
And we do have the Dunn's number, and we do have the Sam's number, so the initial requirements that we're required to have as a county, we've taken care of all of that. Commissioner Walker?
That was what I was gonna ask. Have we already proceeded with the steps that they were out, asking us to do as a county?
Yes, so those are needed for most of our grants, and they're already out
In
there.
place.
So yes.
There hasn't been any new guidance put out that I'm aware of. Did you get anything?
Not that I'm aware of. The last real guidance would have been our webinar that they had.
That's it.
There's a couple of news, but it doesn't offer much insight.
No, it doesn't.
Much more than what we've received thus far.
All right.
NACO's trying to keep us updated, but they, again, from what I understand, Treasury, the federal Treasury is still hashing out how they're gonna handle it, so.
When I think you're able to send questions to NACO, and if you have any, so we'll start, if they don't receive or give us any more guidance, we'll start asking more questions.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to table agenda item number 15 for the time being. We'll go to 16, Grimes County Human Resources Director Talita Coleman. 16 is consider and take action to approve the participation of Grimes County in the ACA Reporting Tracking Services Arts Program with Texas Association of Counties, TAC, and authorize the county judge as signatory. See attachment number 16. Ms. Coleman.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The attachment was provided for you, so this is a free service that TAC provides for the counties. The ACA reporting is the Affordable Cares Act that has to deal with our 1095s and 94s with health care coverage for our employees. By us using TAC, well, right now, the way that we do it, it's a third party through our financial software company. And from my understanding, that's how it's been since this act took place in 2016. We provide the information to this third party. They take that information and submit it to the IRS on our behalf. If there's any discrepancies, the liability falls on the county, the way it's set up right now, not our third party. If we decide to go through TAC, TAC assumes all liability. So if there's any issue with filing and future 1095, then TAC assumes the responsibility on that. It is going to be a little more work on myself to get us caught up because we're about 5 months behind. TAC is willing to work with me to give me appropriate time to get the information that is needed into their system so they can properly track and record our employees' health benefit coverage. They will process the information for us. They will submit it to the IRS on our behalf. They will send the forms to HR, and HR will be responsible for mailing them out to our employees, which I do that now. And that's why there's no cost. If we wanted TAC to do the whole thing, they would charge us X amount of dollars for each employee. But there's no reason why we can't send those out to our employees ourselves. So it is a free service. So I would like for the court to consider allowing us to participate in this program.
I move to approve the participation of Grimes County in the ACA reporting and tracking services with TAC and authorize the county judge as signatory.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 16 by Commissioner Chad Mallett, seconded by Commissioner David Obienski. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Still HR number 17, consider and take action to approve Grimes County salary structure changes. See attachment number 17 that's being handed out
Well, no, there was there, but this is some updated
The
information.
17 is the old, or I say the old, our current process.
So I did some research with some other counties. What I just handed out to you is the salary comparison. The sheriff's office had their own salary comparison done. I've provided you a copy with that as well. I went through and requested some information from the counties that are relatively in our size for population and a few that are surrounding counties. I obviously didn't have enough time to do every single position that the county has, but the first spreadsheet that I sent out to you, I just gave you, is a salary survey of a lot of our clerical positions within the county. The first half of that shows the county's name, their beginning salary, and their top end of the salary. Towards the bottom, you can see the deficit or the difference and the average of what those counties are. The majority of our clerical positions within the county are well under what's comparison to some of the other counties that are our size or surrounding to us. When it comes to our salary structure, I think we have a 25% increase from the beginning salary to the top end. With this comparison, I also did a average of each position on where their low end to their top end started and finished, and then I did an overall. So overall, with the information that I got from the counties, their grade scale is about a 44% increase from the bottom number to the top. Where Grimes County right now is at 25. So one of the things that I'm asking
And to
is-
I'm sorry, just to clarify, we're not 44% below
No.
in pay rate
Not in pay
compared to
rates,
other
no.
counties. But from the bottom of a grade to the top of the grade, where we're at 25%, the average county is at 44%, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, sir. No, we're not that low, and we are low, but not that low. So one of the things I want to ask is for Commissioners Court to consider increasing our range, our percentage range from the low end to the top end to 40%. That won't affect anybody's salaries at this moment that we currently have. We don't have anybody we have a few that are right at the edge of being capped out, but it won't affect anybody's current salaries that I'm aware of. This would just give us more room to have for adjustments for when the court, in which I hope that the court decides to give employees raises this year. That'll keep them within that guideline without having to come to court and ask for exemptions or individual departments being adjusted.
So did you adjust the bottom number or the top number or both?
Just the bottom. The bottom numbers will stay the same. So for instance, on grade 2, our bottom dollar is 12, and currently right now it's at 15. So if you did the 12 with the 40%, that would take it up to $16.80, the bottom number. And then $18 for longevity. So I'm just asking for us to increase that range gap from 25 to 40.
You know the job duties and qualifications for these increases? I mean, wouldn't that be something we need to look at before we make adjustments on the salary scale?
No, because you're just adjusting that particular, the ones who are already categorized in there. You're just adjusting how much they can make in that position at some point in time.
But your request is based on justification through comparison of other counties, and I have no idea on why there is a significant difference. I don't know what their job
So
qualifications are.
I took job descriptions and job duties and got salary structures and looked where the other counties had clerks that were similar to our pay grade structure. So if they had a beginning maintenance position, then I put it where our beginning maintenance position would be. So their ranges are comparable. This would make it comparable to their ranges.
To their ranges.
It would get us on the same level as the other counties that are our population size.
Well, Okay. But I thought this was based on qualifications and job description. or
Where we place our
job
employees on the salary structures are what the court decides to pay for that pay range is completely different. We're not gonna move any employees from a different pay scale. We're just adjusting the gap that allows more maneuver or more flexibility for the employees to maintain that position and not be capped out. It's not changing their job descriptions or functions. It's given more flexibility to compensate our employees who have been here for a long period of time.
Is it the bottom number you're saying? We're moving like from, like we had 12 to 16 for part-time. So are we adjusting the 12 and not the,
No. The starting salary is going to be the same.
Mhm.
You're just increasing the percentage gap to the top end.
okay.
Our
I just
cap.
needed clarity. Okay, because I think we recently had some discussion on
Which
this.
is on there as well. We did have some discussion the last time about
Mhm.
increasing our part-time range,
Mhm.
which is more than the 40%. And that was highlighted and sent to you. So
Mhm.
that new range is $8 to $20 because that was the number that was given to me.
Mhm.
And that was specific for, in case we got into the point where we needed to hire a professional on a part-time level, that we could compensate them
Mhm.
correctly.
But these changes wouldn't affect anybody's salary currently.
You know,
Correct.
this just gives flexibility for them to, as the court decides to increase, give cost of living raises or merit raises, this gives the departments more flexibility to keep their employees within their pay grade structure. We've had some issues lately where our longtime employees, when the court grants raises, they're capped out and they're not able to get the raise. We had that, we discussed that at last Commissioner's Court, and we're gonna discuss it again on the next agenda item. He was capped out because of the pay structure, not because he changed job duties or his duties increased. He wasn't able to receive his merit raise because of reaching that limit. So this is just widening the gap, so we have more flexibility.
And I think we, at that time, we discussed a 30%, so now you're suggesting 40?
My suggestion is 40 based on the information that I got from the other counties. It's up to the court to decide what number you want to settle on. But to keep us an average with the counties that I was able to get information on, and according from their low end to their top end, the average of those counties is 44%.
And we had already initially done like a 25%. We increased the gap by 25% a couple of years ago.
Yes,
That's
ma'am, I do
correct.
believe so.
Mhm.
Because when the salary scheme was put together, from the bottom of the grade to the top of the grade, excluding longevity, it was a 20% factor. And that worked at that time, I think, except for 3 employees that were red circled within the county. And then we ended up, because we had the cost of living adjustment, we had the merit increase, or the opportunity, and as a result, the court did move it up to a range of 25%. We did that in what, 20, Jesse? Or 19?
Or in 2021, so we did that in 2019.
2019, yeah. So that held from 2019 to current, but
Well, I know we played a little bit with numbers not long ago, and the 30%. But you're saying because of what you're seeing statewide, you are now suggesting 40%.
It would be my recommendation. Obviously, if the court decides to go 30%, that's gonna alleviate some, discrepancies down the road as our employees start getting higher up, or if you guys give raises. The reason I would suggest the 40 is again, and I know we're not in budget hearings, but it kind of ties into this. This is for future as well, to keep us from having to come back to the court on a yearly basis or twice a year to specifically talk about increasing the ranges. Cost of living has gone up substantial. Groceries is up 11%, fuel's up 22%. So it's my hope and desire that the court is going to seriously consider giving our employees a cost of living raise. That's why I went and took the time to provide a bunch of salary comparison between administrative positions. I even did one for elected officials, which shows that, you know, we're pretty low for our elected officials' pay in comparison to some other counties. And then the sheriff's office salary, you can see there is a substantial difference in our law enforcement.
So, in all the strides that we've tried to make since we began the salary structure, the cost of living and all of the things that are, we're not keeping up
Right, we're
from where we were,
behind
even with the 25%. So what we found recently when we did the cost of living raise, some people were not able to get their cost of living adjustment because they were capped out.
the merit raise. So this
Was it
past year
just
before-
merit or just?
Just merit.
It's just merit. My understanding that is if we give a cost of living raise,
It changes
should
the whole.
adjust the pay grade structure. But by doing this, and if you decide a 30 or 40%, it just keeps us for when we start getting these employees who are getting close to maxing out, we don't have to keep coming back before court. And it just widens the gap. It takes less work off of you guys. This isn't gonna budgetarily, this will, if you increase it 30% or 40% right now, it's not going to change anybody's budget. This just widens the range.
In all fairness to Toledo and to the court, I'd given the number of, well, maybe we need to ratchet it up to 30%. And Toledo said, well, let me do some salary survey information. And then based on her research, this is what she's presented to us today, that 30% will work, but if you look at how we
Average.
compare to other counties, there's a 44% range. So we could do 30 and meet our current need. We could do 35, we could meet our current plus our future, or we could do 40 and be extended out there as in a period of time.
And unless the court is gonna eventually get rid of the salary grade structure, which I don't think that's the intent of the court, this just gives a bigger range, is all I'm asking is for the gap to be increased.
But would this help alleviate some of the problems we were seeing with the salary structure? People redoing their job descriptions so
Yes.
they could move to the next category in
Yes.
order to,
It will.
You mean
because-
work the system?
yes.
Yes, it would stop that
That's
as
what you
well.
see it.
It would stop your elected officials or department heads coming to you and wanting to move their employees to a different pay grade level to compensate for their work.
The other thing that we would watch as a court, if you did increase from 25 to 40%, some elected official, more so than a department head, might say, well, now I can ratchet somebody up 15%. No. Because we still have, one, we're not going to give a cost of living of 15% or 10%. We also, as a court, can restrict the maximum somebody could receive on a merit increase, i.e., if they got a merit raise, then 5% might be the max for the exceptional employee versus 3% or 2%.
Is that something we would consider doing right away? Because I think we have more request work can be made in February and May. So
Right.
we're in the month of May, so unless we made that adjustment now, you know, what's to prohibit what you just described from happening?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
The months that department heads or elected officials can come in and request changes to the structure or to the job is February and May. So
Right.
we're in May, and we're probably gonna start seeing some come before us. So if you're saying we're gonna put those caps, then at some point we need to put the caps in place, or you will have missed this year's.
So to my knowledge, nobody has reached out to me about doing any type of restructuring within their office for this time period. There was one that I was aware of, but after talking with Cinda in the auditor's office, that department is waiting for next year. Now, I haven't spoke with him directly, but I'm thinking he was gonna come next year in March or February to do it because of his employee maybe reaching that threshold. So if you adjust the threshold,
Yeah, it's going to eliminate.
it's gonna eliminate your elected officials and department heads coming to you and wanting to move their employees.
Well, if we just adjust it now and we don't make the changes that he suggested, which I like your suggested on the cap, then it's just the beginning of May. I mean, we still have time in May, and somebody still has time to come and make a request.
They can, but if you change this now, and the reason that they're coming to you is because their employee is at their threshold on their money, and so they want to redo their job descriptions and stuff to get them moved to the other level, that's gonna alleviate that. Unless they are truly moving them because of more responsibilities, which they should have in the beginning.
Then maybe we should look at that prior to merits being the merit part that he's talking about. But I'm listening to what you're saying about the adjustment now, but also adding a cap in there, I think is a great idea. Because we don't want one individual, we give a merit to a department, we wouldn't want to see one person get merit raises and nobody else in that department. I mean, that creates animosity, you know.
Right, which it's happened in the near future, and it happened this last time that merit raises were given. Some people received more than the 2%, some received none. And from an HR standpoint, when you're entering all of that, that is a software data entry nightmare.
We had a 9% increase? Oh, I thought you.
No, I said some got this, some got this.
Okay, but nobody got above,
I don't think anybody got above a 2.
yeah.
So last year, y'all let the elected officials in the department head divvy up their total merit raise. It was budgeted by position at 2%, but they collectively, y'all allowed the department heads to divvy it up. So some received 1%, some received 3%, some received 2.5%,
Right.
some got 4%, you know.
But nobody got the whole pot.
No.
You said a couple of things that's a little bit concerning to me. I just want to make some clarification to make sure it's not a misunderstanding on my part, but it seems as though you have a concern that some elected officials or department heads are submitting changes, not because there is a change, but just to tap into the next higher level of salary.
I'm keeping that, I'm not saying that that's what they are doing, but it would keep that at bay more if we increase our current positions. I'm not claiming that any elected official is doing that. So if that's what you understood, that was not my intention.
But that has happened in the past.
Yes.
It has happened in the past, so this would alleviate that. Not, it hasn't happened recently
No.
that I'm aware of since I've been in this position, but I'm aware that it did happen before, on more than one occasion.
Okay. And I also have another concern about the 44% increase. I mean, I'm not saying I'm opposed to making adjustments to the salary scale, but I want to do it because it's in the best interest of Grimes County, not because it's what everybody else is doing around us. And some of these comparisons, I mean, we're talking, we don't have any idea why they're paid what they're paid, and we will never probably be able to compete with Brazos County, Montgomery County, Walker County, Waller County, and Washington County. Our tax base isn't that big.
Well, the only one I put on there was, well, Washington County is somewhat close to our size. Brazos and Waller were put in there just for surrounding counties. And that's more so because for our sheriff's office, we get people in, we train them, we get them where they need to go, and then they leave to surrounding counties because they can get paid more. So if we do a pay increase, you're gonna have less turnover in your law enforcement field, for one, and some of your administrative staff too, because they can jump ship and go to another county. So you're losing knowledge, you're losing all the training and stuff that we've had. So that's why Brazos and Waller and Washington are on there. Because if we have people who are current employees, chances are if they're gonna leave to go work for another county, they're gonna go to a surrounding county.
Yeah, I got it. But, so you're advocating that we pay the top end of the scale if it's 44%?
No, I'm just saying,
I'm just
allow that flexibility. I'm not
44,
saying that all of those
40.
departments need to be brought up 40%.
The
It's just-
average is 44.
The average is 40% between the counties that I was able to get information from. I'm not suggesting that the county go and give everybody a 40% pay increase. just adjust the salary structure for the flexibility. You all meet at budget time, you get all of our budgets, you put together, you guys decide whether you're gonna give a 2.5% raise or a 5% raise.
Or no raise.
Or no raises. This just keeps us from having to come back time and time again to adjust a specific employee or a specific department's need.
Now, I keep hearing him say 44, and I know you did your research and that was the average. But didn't you just suggest or recommend a while ago 40%?
That was my recommendation, to bring us up to what
Okay.
the average is of the counties that are in our population size or surrounding counties for us.
Okay.
That's just my recommendation. If you want to do 30, that's fine. If you want to keep it at 25 the way it is, then that's fine too.
I just wanted to make sure, he was saying 44, I thought I heard you say 40, so
The
I'm just
average
trying
of
to.
the information that I got is 44%.
And we did this based upon market. And when we initially started out, we were afraid that we were losing our employees that we'd invested so much into surrounding areas in the market. So, this is what you're doing. You're looking at the markets around
I'm looking at
us.
the counties that are close to us, and then I also included the surrounding counties, which is where our employees would possibly go. Now, I did not pull Montgomery County because Montgomery County is huge.
Yes.
And that wouldn't really be a fair comparison. That would jump up our numbers even more. But I do know that we've lost some employees to Washington County, we've lost employees to Brazos, and we've lost employees to Waller, and we have lost some sheriff's office to Montgomery County,
Yeah,
which I think they're on their own comparison over there.
We've lost some road and bridge people to Montgomery County too,
Yeah.
several years ago.
So on the spreadsheet that was provided for the SO, they do have salary comparisons for Montgomery County, Robertson County, Walker, Waller, Washington. Those are all the counties where we've lost law enforcement personnel to.
If there's no further discussion, I'll move that we approve. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Just want to make sure there were some other highlighted areas. The crimes victim liaison was initially grant funded. I know there's talk and possibility that we're going to get them back. So the way that the pay grade structure is right now, I have placed her under the grade level 4. That's where she would have fit in to begin with. But she's also on the back page under grant funded for future in case we get the grant back, then we can just remove one of the others. There was a few changes in here. This is also approving the grade 5 change. We'll remove the HR assistant from a grade 3 to a grade 5. That is reflected on here. It also reflects the previous pay increase in the LE positions. So you'll see a change in that dollar amount is what's going to be approved if you all approve this. And then we moved the DA caseworker slash investigator that was previously grant funded up to paraprofessional, which would be in line with the other DA investigators.
But if we agree to these changes, nobody's going to see a change in their pay as of this, because we already adjusted the LE, the law
Correct.
enforcement previously, and we've adjusted these other
The
folks.
employees that need to be compensated, we've addressed those individually. We're going to be addressing the one for the veterans right after this.
I just wanted to clarify that if we approve this, there's no change in people's pay at this time. It does prepare possible changes come October 1, but that's a budget discussion between now and then.
Correct.
Thank you.
To my knowledge, it does not increase anybody's salary. We don't have anybody else that was at a threshold.
Right.
And so once more and again, you're suggesting or you're recommending 40%.
My recommendation to the court is 40%.
That's from bottom to top, but you're not recommending people be paid.
I'm not
We're
recommending.
getting a 40% increase.
No. No, it's just the salary range from the beginning start salary to what they're capped at. It would be a 40% increase. the court wants to give us a 40% raise. I don't think you're gonna have any employee that would call it.
Yeah, I think
It's not the employees we're worried about.
I think the 40% variation between the grades should probably be discussed a little further before we take action on that and kind of get an overview side of what those numbers are in relation to how it would fit in here. Maybe probably discuss that a little further. But I think we should approve the rest of the salary structure.
So we have,
Is that approving the one for the part-time as well? since
Yes,
we
that's
previously
what we-
discussed it?
yes. So we previously discussed, but I think the 40%, I think we need to probably kind of discuss, have a further discussion with us during the budget process during another workshop, actually, was right now.
We can talk about it in the budget workshop. Commissioner Dobianski, you were gonna make a motion?
Yes. I move that we approve the recommendation she made with the exception of the 40%.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 17 by Commissioner David Dobianski, second by Commissioner Chad Mallett. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Go to agenda item number 18, discuss and take action to adjust Veteran Services Officer salary. It is expected that the court will conduct a closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel matters. I'm going to ask everyone except for the commissioners and the... We're good? Okay. We're reconvening. The time is 10:45 a.m. We're on the same day. We're now on agenda item number 19. Our road and bridge engineer, Mr. Harry Walker, consider and approve a proposed replat of King Oak Section 2, lots 297 and 298, located in precinct 1. That's our attachment number 19. That's also the discussion. I'm sorry?
We need action on 18.
18, we need action on that.
I'm sorry. Rewind the tape. Agenda item number 18, we're back from executive session at 10:45. Is there a motion?
I move that we take action to adjust the Veteran Services Officer salary.
Thank you. All right. There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 18 by Commissioner Barbara Walker, seconded by Commissioner Philip Cox. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Back to agenda item number 19. Mr. Walker, consider and approve proposal replat of King Oak Section 2, lots 297 and 298, located in precinct 1. It's our attachment 19. We did have a public hearing on that at 8:45 this morning. Mr. Walker.
Yes, sir, this is the same plat we heard the public hearing on earlier. Nothing's changed in the last 2 hours. We are still recommending approval of this plat.
I move to approve the replat of King Oak Section 2, lots 297 and 298.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 19 by Commissioner Chad Mallett, seconded by Commissioner Barbara Walker. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Agenda item number 20, consideration and possible approval of the plat of the Bend subdivision, J.W. Stoddard Survey, A-415, located in precinct 1. That's our attachment number 20.
This is a small subdivision located at the corner of 127 and 128, just south of Iowa. 5 lots, they range from 1.2 acres to 2.3 acres. Everything has access to existing county roads, and we are recommending approval of the plat at this time.
No questions. I move to approve the plat of the Bend subdivision as presented.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 20 by Commissioner Chad Mallett, seconded by Commissioner David Dobianski. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Mr. Walker, thank you. And on the road and bridge report, everybody received a copy of that? Any questions or concerns?
Usually, it's been wet.
Yep.
We had, at least in the central part of the county, over 12 inches of rain in about the last 10 days. We did have a few roads go underwater in the usual spots. Limited damage resulting from that, but there was a little bit of damage in certain places. It's that time of year.
So I have a better understanding when I get calls. When we do ditch repair, culvert repair, road surface repair, at what point does our responsibility stop? Is it from the center of the road 30 foot over? And more specifically, if we're doing culvert work by a creek or something, but because of upstream or downstream backup or upstream excessive force, what responsibility do we have as a county?
We have a legal right to go in on existing natural streams or where there's a dedicated drainage easement.
Yes, sir.
But as a matter of policy, the county has not undertaken improvements outside the right of way, just because of the extent of the problem. We would really, we'd be talking about a huge increase in the responsibilities for road and bridge.
Sure.
So, yes, on occasion, when there's been a very, critical issue going on, we have gone outside the right of way and done some maintenance work, open up a channel that was blocked or something like that. But the standard practice is we don't do that.
And that's just mainly to protect the work that we've already done or the repairs that we've already taken care of, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's, when you look at how many miles of streams and
Oh.
we have in this county, it's a huge issue. If you want to start doing maintenance work on those channels, then we would probably be talking about creating a drainage district to do that.
I've got a creek that runs a mile long on my property, and I'd love for y'all to come clean it, but probably not gonna happen, so. No, I understand. I didn't know what our authority or our you said legal responsibility, and I think that's more appropriate.
There is a
Mr. Walker.
right of access on any natural
can't hear.
stream under state law. So legally, we can do those kind of things if needed, if warranted, but we're not required to.
Understood. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Walker, I was hoping you were gonna hear me and say, I was gonna ask you to speak a little louder, because if not for me, the listening world may not be able to hear you very well.
They haven't been able to hear me for 40 years.
Yeah, but I think what you were speaking was good information for our public, so if I had a hard time hearing, I'm sure they did too.
Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
One comment I want to make before he leaves.
Yes.
Our drainage work on the roads have saved our roads from a lot of this heavy rain. And I see that as I travel throughout the county. The limited amount of damage that we're having now is because of the drainage that we've created in the last 6 years on these roads.
I think things have gotten better. I will say the storm we had a week ago Friday, we ran the numbers on that in the central part of the county here around Anderson. That ranged between a 25 and a 50-year event. The amount of rainfall within the short time period it occurred. And again, we did have a few roads that went under, and the usual suspects. I'm glad to report the places where we're working on the grant project on some of those roads were not damaged. by the flood. So the work that has been done, put in place, has held up, so I'm pleased to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And tell your crews, thank you. Agenda item number 21, consider and take action regarding the burn ban and authorize the county judge as signatory. Mr. Lilly was here, I think, earlier, but the recommendation is no change. Is that an agreement, commissioners?
Yes,
Okay, no change on the burn ban.
pretty wet.
Yep. And a lot of the browns turned to green now, so. Agenda item 22, receive any updates on the strategic plan?
I would like to share with the court that we did have a meeting last week between CHI EMS Services and myself on our quarterly update. And I'm proud to present or to tell the public that we now have a supervisor that is stationed here in the Anderson Fire Department. They graciously allowed him to have some sleeping quarters there, which makes him closer to the central area here in Grimes County, that he can get there faster than the ambulance can get there and start EMS, what am I trying to say?
Emergency services.
Emergency services. We also put in a helipad, and I want to say thank you to Mr. Walker for, I see it on your report, for doing that. So I just wanted to give those updates that we now have a supervisor here, EMS, stationed in Anderson, along with a new helipad.
Do you want to broadcast the location of the helipad?
No, I don't know where it is myself. So it's at the, it's behind the sheriff department, right?
I believe that's right. Is that right here?
It's at the old Anderson Child Elementary School property.
Right.
Because we took over the site they were using by the sheriff's department,
Mhm.
Justice Center,
Okay.
and we're looking for a new location.
Right behind the gym.
Right behind the gym, they took over what I think was the basketball court,
Okay.
existing concrete pad, and we just put in a parking area for them adjacent to that.
Okay. I did get that, but I forgot. So it's at the gym, old Anderson gym.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I mean, I knew where it was, and since you were communicating it.
Well, I'm doing that off the top of my head, so I
Alright.
didn't remember everything, so.
Well, I have nothing on the top of my head, so. Okay. Well, it's only funny sometimes. Okay, agenda item number 22. Any other issues on the strategic plan? All right, we'll go to 23. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion before the court on agenda item number 23 to adjourn by Commissioner Barbara Walker, seconded by Commissioner Dobianski. Is there any further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Commissioners,